The beginning of many a racer's career can start in many such ways, whether you're driving the classic MX-5 Cup that iRacing starts you out on, or you take the front-wheel drive route into some of my favourite cars, the touring cars. But along the way comes a very special little city car, one of my favourite hatchbacks in the world, and it gets represented fantastic in the iRacing Clio Cup. This challenging, tricky little car really pushes drivers to their limits of its total lack of ABS and total lack of other driver assists on the road, and we're bringing it to one of Britain's greatest tracks today as we bring you the top split of the iRacing Clio Cup. It's the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, my local track, and one I've been to many times on the road, and I'm sure I'll be to again many weeks from now. And talking about people who've been here before, Howie Burroughs, and I'm joined alongside here by Anthony Cirino, who last time we were seen on this channel was also seen on this track. I promise I'm not keeping you in the Stockholm syndrome over here. Yeah, it's just lined up this way. How you doing?
I'm alright, and help me, he won't let me leave. He will not let me leave this track. Help.
I live right here. I'm probably going to be getting the annual pass next year, and I've seen some of these little city cars run around it here myself. It's a very unusual track for these little front-wheel drive cars. It's very unlike the Formula Fords we last saw, because these front-wheel cars, you know how they go. It understeer city. And that's very hard on a track full of super, super fast sweepers. We've got a field of, I believe, 17 drivers that registered. It's probably going to have a couple less usually make the qualifying lap if iRacing has anything to go by in this very breezy sub 60-second lap where drivers are currently just running around the track. It's going to be so hard to keep track of them bit by bit. I know you have some experience of it. Maybe your closest equivalent, Anthony, is the Porsche Cup car. It does have that lack of ABS all over it, but almost everything else, it's a totally different beast.
I mean, yeah, I mean, really, if you want to think about it, it's kind of a backwards Porsche Cup, because instead of it being rear engine, rear wheel drive, it's front engine, front wheel drive. And honestly, when it comes to the downforce, front end downforce, it's about the same. So it's kind of just a Porsche Cup flipped on its head.
I like to call it Spicy Porsche Cup. I like to call it Spicy Porsche Cup indeed. And that's a very controversial opinion, though. I think I get booed out of communities when I say it. Well, I'm usually a bit of a TCR lover, and I've gotten used to those cars over time, but these are completely different beasts. The lack of ABS means that rotating the car into the corner by leaning hard on the brakes, you still want to do it. You want to set that rear brake valve high up in order to properly throw it in, but if you overcook it, you are going straight off the gravel into the wall, something I think a few drivers might be lining up to do today. Most drivers wrapping up their laps. It's very hard to catch someone who's still running. Here's Eric Cheradame trying to get a lap slightly better than the last few, as he currently has the slowest on the road. About 5-6 drivers behind haven't quite set theirs yet with 4 minutes to go. Still just trying to catch everything I can, but obviously iRacing lone qualifying, it's a little bit tricky because everybody is very much playing their own game. Eric Traderman is setting the P4 time, more people sliding up the grid. Here's Nathan P. Hoyle. It's a very wide split today. Our top driver is a 5.7k I rating, and our lowest driver is a 658. This is sometimes the experience you get in some of these very, very wide series. Clio Cup, it does get very popular on the British evenings. I'm glad that it sustains itself. It really keeps itself with a very healthy life. But you do get these sort of anything goes races, where you're going to see some super high skill sort of meshing with people who are maybe learning their way and didn't quite know who they ended up with. Now, I'm taking a look at some of these qualifying times, and if you notice that gap between the P1 and P2, Carlos Riviera and Roman Pesky.
It seems we're going to have some... seems we're going to be having some very close racing up front this time around. I don't know. We might see some good racing, something maybe close to what we saw at the Formula Fords.
They are
I mean, they're going to have to be just as careful through the corners.
They are going to have to be very careful. Going side by side down Paddock Hill is terrifying, but these cars invite it a whole lot more than some of those Formula cars. They sort of encourage you to make. They sort of encourage you to make these bolder moves, and then you really get bitten when maybe someone's making a bit of an understeer or somebody's made a little bit of a mistake here or there. But, and also the very hard braking into Druids is a challenge. It can really trip you up and just kind of sort of send you off into the gravel. I've struggled around it. I've definitely not had a perfect string of races around it myself, but that's why I'm watching it and not doing it myself. It's been plenty of fun to run alongside people, and as this will be one of the last major populated splits of the week as we move into a new week of iRacing all around the calendar. What catches your attention in the next iRacing week? It doesn't have to be in the Clios.
Well, I mean, quite a few things, but just got me one of the V8 supercars getting ready for next season. That'll be interesting because it's around Portimao, a track that I don't know very well. And if anybody knows Portimao, it's a lot of hairpins. Hairpins in a very fast V8 powered race car with a high horsepower, very little grip. So that'll be interesting for any of you out there who might be doing that.
Indeed, indeed. There's some wacky stuff coming up with the iRacing patch. Unfortunately, they've released a rookie car that is not our Clio. I think Renault might be holding that back. That sounds like a very Renault thing to do, which is not let the Clio be a rookie car. I mean, I'm personally excited for us to become a Ferrari hypercar works team, but I know that is that's a very unpopular opinion on these roads among our teammates, you being one of them. Any just quick thoughts, yes or no? Girl, let me have this.
Yeah, absolutely not. If I'm going for any works team, it is GM.
That's a shame.
I will not. I am not one of the Tifosi. Sorry, but no.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Well, also, I mean, the Clio Cup got a fantastic track for next season with the brand new. I've forgotten its name. That is a fantastic. Way to transition into that. What's the big British fast track? What's the big British fast track? Thruxton. It's going to be fantastic. I hope they can get that in for week 1. Looking at our starting grid, the transition is going to be super quick to race start. On the front row, Carlos A. Riviera alongside Roman. I'm gonna go with Peshki. Risto Westman behind, and Eric Cheradame in P4, Darren Garlett in P5, and Xavier Hairbutt. They actually set me up with some of these names this week. That is unbelievable. You don't get time to practice them when it's not a league.
I'm gonna assume that's Urbao, maybe?
Yeah, Urbao sounds good. Dries Windendale, Florian Camilla, Kevin Anfield, Martin, they're tricking me here. They're Krajowski, Anthony Knight, and Sasha. I mean, don't ask me what symbol that is. Sasha Glasgow in P12. Lots more drivers on the road, but this race is going to start very soon. So without any further ado, it's Carlos on the left, Roman on the right. We're ready to go green in just a few seconds time. About 50 until it's forced off the grid. I'm the one that usually makes you wait in these races. I hate to tell you.
I almost kind of feel bad for you having to read out all those names. I know you have trouble reading as is, and they definitely threw some curveballs at you today.
I didn't realize we were going to get controversy in the booth. You should be thankful the race is starting soon and I don't get to write you out for long because we're green. Carlos and Roman getting good launches side by side. Carlos is going to have the advantage here going down into Paddock Hill Bend. He has the inside line with Eric behind and Darren Garlett taking up P4, trying to get a little bit of Mersey up on the outside. Is that P5 from Xavier going to get through? No, because that's going to be going horribly wide for Eric. He's missed his braking point. He slips down the road. Well, that is a tight and scary corner for many. Carlos still leading the way with Roman Peshki. I thought we agreed it was Peshki behind. Clean getaway for most of this pack, but that was a pretty disastrous start for our P3 runner.
Yeah, that was Honestly, I kind of feel bad for the person who got caught up with that there, but we'll see what happens.
These tight, tiny little hatchbacks, they give almost no room, and sometimes you're just unlucky. Roman is going to be looking down this rear bumper of Carlos to try and make up this P1. Doesn't quite make the inside line this time around. He's going to keep trying. It's actually Risto Westman in the pits. Looks like his day might be not quite over. There is a fast repair, but some pretty serious damage taken by accident from that start. That is very unfortunate. Hoping to see if he makes up any gaps. It's a very quick race, only 15 minutes. Lots of battling down behind as well. Here's Thomas Urban, who, missing a bit of a bumper, is trying to battle around Martin Krajewski and Nathan Poyle. They're going 3 wide, leaving the inside of this track. It looks like Sasha that's going to get the upper hand over the remaining 2. I see a slide down behind. I think that's Thomas. Thomas Urban has just lost it down, leaving the back half of that track.
I think he might have lost it, or I maybe looked like they got iRacing netcoded there. It looked like Nathan might have just driven right through him. We'll have to look back at that.
I will definitely take a study on that. It did look a little bit like on 1 and 2. Like 1 was starting to lose it a bit, and then there was a bit of contact. That's Roman I can't do it. I can't do it.
Call him Roman.
Carlos Riviera keeping the advantage out of Druids. It's very, very tight there. Roman trying to get the side-by-side going. It's opened up Darren Garlett from behind with Xavier Habert also trying to get those eyes in. This top 4 have completely broken away from the field. Just looking behind here, Florian Kremier and Dries Windendale also side-by-side. These cars are running so close, and they're going to keep doing this all the way up until the end of the race. We're going to have approximately 18 laps. That sounds crazy for 15 minutes. But it's very true. Roman, they're getting just almost into the rear of Carlos Riviera. It's not quite finding the opening just yet. It's the fastest lap. It's set a little bit further down the field. Still the 1, 2, 3, 4 as it stands. But the second I look away, it's likely going to explode. This battle further behind with Eric Cheradime on camera right now, just looking to be just as tasty. Kevin Anfield sort of eyeing it all up from behind, trying to make the way through. Dries pulling out that gap. These drivers are all super, super close. And just one more look at some of these tiny gaps. It's Anthony Knight in that PWT Alpine Renault. I like the thematic element of that one, if you really think about it. Right on the rear bumper of Martin Krajewski. Now,
somebody just had some trouble.
Looks like there might have been iRacing getting a little bit scared because I don't see any cars off the road, but a little bit of debris did go flying for a second. These cars were able to split it out. See a little bit of tyre smoke up the hill. I'd love to get back to some of these replays as soon as possible. As Anthony Knight almost makes his charge, but he goes off the road and misses that braking point to Druid. Second we've seen today. Roman Persky on that rear bumper. I'm staring him up. He is the highest skilled driver in this lobby, and he's absolutely looking to try and make an impression on Carlos Rivera. It's going to be a timing game, I think, for that 1-2. It's going to be a real battle as to finding the right moment. I mean, there's so many camera angles to look around. I have to keep it patient. I have to stop with the rapid switching quite this moment and pick one battle on this crazy grid.
Yeah, sadly, unlike in real life, we can't keep our eyes on just about everything. We got to look at one thing at a time here.
Real motorsports, they get like the whole team that are like watching down from above. You know, they can stare in and like flip to the right stuff, whereas we have a couple people, one person on the cameras with all the data, just trying to make the best pick possible on this track today.
I gotta say though, Roman putting up a fantastic fight. We've seen him giving Carlos there good nudges a few times, especially through Druids. He's looking kind of impatient, looking like he's trying to go for a run, but just cannot find it.
I wouldn't want to see this impatience become an accident around a track that is this tight and twisty, but anything can happen. You can see there, as the rear of the car really gets unsettled and loose as you pitch it into Paddock Hill. You're really leaning on the rear brake valve at that point, but you have to incredibly tightly balance the brakes in order to not lock up the fronts and just end up off the road in that gravel, which is a victim of many on many a day. Dries Windendale here in another close one side by side, as they look to exit Druids and finish off the back half of their lap. I say finish off the lap as if this track isn't just completely one of the shortest out there in all of iRacing. Eric Cheradame trying to look left, look right. The course ends just about as quickly as it starts, and you're thrown back in the start to do it all again. These two absolutely chasing each other down. Darren Garlett is the one who would be the beneficiary if anything unusual happens up ahead, but he has sort of lost this gap out, letting the two further up the road lose time. Every lap is Roman getting a little bit closer, little bit more impatient and trying to find that window. I gotta say, as a driver in front, I would absolutely hate to have someone this close to my bumper the whole way around, and he's managed to bait Carlos here into a little mistake, but he's gonna still have the inside line coming into the last few corners. Up McLaren, Roman's ahead, but he loses it again, finishing the corner. We see a little bit of brake smoke though, and Roman's not done. He has the inside, he has the run advantage in the Paddock Hill bend he'll have when the time comes. He gets ahead just right now. Next few corners are going to be pivotal, but they're both right-handers. He's going to absolutely love this. He's found the opportunity. He's seized it, but he's gone wide, quite wide down the hill there. Usually he can get away with this, but this has offered Carlos Rivera the chance to make that P2 right back. Outbraked Roman Pesci. I think he's going to come out ahead now, leading down into Graham Hill Bend. Pretty masterful timing. He got it done cleanly. He got it done nicely.
Especially going around the outside on Druids. Normally you could do that with cars with, higher downforce, better grip. But things like these, that is a masterclass of driving right there, honestly. That is fantastic driving.
The most competitive Clio Cup drivers, absolutely.
Ooh.
That's a bit further back as these two ended up in each other. We'll definitely get a look at that one later. I was hoping to catch a nice battle and might have caught death staring me in the face. Carlos Rivera trying to make up this P2. I love just watching the rear of these cars slide out down Paddock Hill, and down Darren Garlett has gotten significantly closer. He is not done at all. And this battle for the top three, Xavier's fallen behind, but what do you think of these three?
Well, I think it's more of Garrett here just biding his time, but definitely making up that time thanks to Carlos and Roman fighting so much. I definitely think we'll see a very close, very tight finish unless something happens to one of these three.
Well, it's a car that is nice and easy to keep on the road if you're hitting your marks, and that's probably what keeps the racing so close. But we've seen a few miscalculations already bite the field and already catch them out, and we are just past halfway. The time flies, but at the same time, it feels like we could be here forever. There's about 7 laps to go on the track as we approach our last 6 minutes. Each lap quicker than the last. Roman Pesci now really getting the gap away, leaving Darren Garlett all over the rear of Carlos Rivera. He would hate to lose out this P2 after already losing out the P1, but I think Darren is now the next one looking to try and capture this place.
Yeah, it's looking like Carlos would be able to put up a good fight with Roman if Darren wasn't right there, but now Carlos has to put his thoughts on both ends, both attack and defense. But the question is, which one will he prioritize?
I hate to be in these situations under pressure from all angles in such a weird, edgy little car. I almost saw one leave the ground a little bit. Who knows if that was netcode, or maybe I'm getting delusional at this hour of day. This is the tightest battle on the field. Most of the others have strung out. Just looking a bit further behind, Florian Crimea would be the next to attack Xavier Hobart, but still more than the second down. They're going to need to make up some time in order to get that one completed. Darren Garlett now is our next chaser, and the time is whittling down each lap closer to the end of this day. There's going to be about 5 to go, I believe, when the line is crossed, with the 4-minute timer going down when you account for that white flag. So if a move is to be made now, you're running out of time. You're running out of laps to get it completed.
I don't know. It's looking like right now, unless somebody make some crazy dive, I think we're looking at the exact position of our finished top 3. Because there's still a decently wide gap between each of them.
The gap is moderate, and I'd like to see them close up before we draw any conclusions on position changes. You are right, they're starting to lock in their fate. Just looking a little bit further back at Anthony Knight, who's now closing in on Martin Krajewski. I like the use of the BWT Alpine oil over the Renault. That is very thematically appropriate, in fact.
And I will say about the BWT liveries, some people aren't a big fan of the pink and blue. I honestly, personally, really like them.
It grew on me. It grew on me. Maybe after Interlagos it grew on me because I had to buy their shirt. Maybe I'm just like, that's the voices speaking to me in my head. But for some, I thought it was the ugliest livery I've ever seen. And now I run it on my Super Formula.
Kick Sauber exists.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they're the ugliest.
They've won it. Anyone that runs the Kick Sauber and iRacing is baiting us, all right? They're playing tricks. Anthony Knight really wants to get this move done. This is only for the P8, but every position is worth something in iRacing. Not just for the iRating and the safety rating. Those are just numbers, they say, but just for the glory of queuing up and enjoying a good one today. Martin's been holding up a good defense, but I think Anthony likely is the faster one if the two were to open up a chance. But we've seen these passes have only really happened due to other people's mistakes. It was errors that sort of opened up that window to make the attack. And Martin Krajewski could just keep this together and finish this race cleanly. That's what he's hoping at the very least.
It's not an easy task, but as long as you can go without incident, I think Martin might be able to hold on to that position just fine.
Passing is very hard around the Brands Hatch circuit. That's just one of the most notorious pieces about it. It's not an easy track to get past people, but it almost looked like he was going to try it from that angle from the inside of Druids. I've stood there. Lovely place to sit, but probably a scary place to be running as he piles down the hill. He does have more speed into Graham Hill, but at inside line, it comes a little bit compromised. I think he does have the advantage, though. He made the exit speed out of Druids, and he's been made to make this position. Now, Risto Westman behind could be at the next place to gain on Martin Krajewski. He had a bit of an incident earlier on in the race, got caught up. Absolutely one of the fastest cars on this field. He's been trying to make up any positions he can. He might want to say goodbye to his iRating after a dump like that in general, but he certainly thinks he can make it past Martin Krajewski here. Only 0.2 of a second in it. This is about the range our attacking drivers were in when they needed to start capitalizing on these good entries and exits. Risto Westman, he's already just completely set him up for Druids. That's an experienced driver. The mark of one showing there. Opening up that inside and have it just being left completely open. Is he going to be able to make the position through? There is contact on the inside. Both cars keep it together amazingly, both looking for the same sort of turf. They're both still alive, and Risto Westman takes the position from that last battle on the road as we have about 2 to go when the leader crosses the line. I'm taking a look at Florian Camia, that's it. We're not under time pressure anymore to get it right. On the back of Xavier Herbo, who I said they could open up this opportunity, but they kind of lost. They didn't have the chance to do it earlier. Well, these laps have been getting faster and faster and faster, and now we're in that rear bumper situation again.
Yeah, we might be able to see another dive down like we just seen with Risto, but I don't know. We'll see what happens because clearly Florian's trying to make up as much time as possible, locking up his brakes. But we'll see if maybe make a dive down into Paddock Hill. It's very much close enough.
So that's Roman Pesky having crossed the line on lap 18, and we haven't seen the white flag. Now we have. Took a while to update. It's the white flag lap for the leader. Blame the overlay and not me. Florian on the inside line. That's Xavier on the inside line, and Florian trying to attack on the outside. My apologies. They'll have the inside of Graham Hill if they choose to take it, but they choose not to. A few dips on the grass, trying to keep it safe. This will be the last chance. They're side by side through the chopper. Take a look through the chopper. It's only right-hand turns here. I think Florian's going to lose out on the opportunity as they go wide. As Roman Peschke crosses the line with the blinking lights to win at Brands Hatch after a fantastic chase and execution.
That was a amazing race between these guys. Very close. Few incidents here or there, but a little bit of door banging is always a good time.
We're going to take a nice long look at everything that just happened on the road any second now. Florian Cremier finishes behind Xavier with a .084 gap. That's unbelievable. So close. But it is what it is. Let's take a look at some of these replays very quick. That's not the right camera for that, so we will try it again. There's always a little bit of movie magic involved. This was just the race start we're looking at here. Down the road, they seem to think there was a crash there. This was where the first it was between Kevin Smith and Daniel Crabler. Oh, we didn't catch that one. Didn't catch that one.
No,
a bit of a tag outside of paddock kill. Then it was on Thomas Urban, who he got loose, and then I think he got turned. I think
he got loose. Who was that driver that was behind him? That was
I wouldn't count on that. Wouldn't count on that one.
It was Hoyle. It was Hoyle. Kind of just drove right through him as he was losing control. However, I do understand that there's not a whole lot you can do in that split moment.
Yeah, here's Kevin Anfield getting a meatball flag as a couple more drivers coming together, and that's a nasty hit on the wall, unfortunately. Eventually would make it into the pits to clear that one. There were so many passes on the road, but let's see if we can get that pass for P1.
Though seeing that accident, seeing all this time he's losing, good on Kevin making it back up to 11th by the end.
It's always a little bit touch and go in these lobbies, but in a track that's hard to pass, every position is worth something. Here's Roman Peschke making that P1. You can see the brake locking on the car ahead. It's so tight between the two. He has that speed advantage, and from that point onwards, it becomes a little bit trivial the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. This was a fantastic battle, though. Love seeing these cars get a little bit feisty. Going wide down Paddock Hill, I was almost worried he'd lose the position back again, but holding onto the outside, it's the outbrake, just having more bravery on the brake pedal, and from that point, it was his race to call home.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back and bring up timing sheet, Roman built up an over 2-second gap to second place by the end of that race. But fantastic driving from Roman.
Absolutely, that was a race win that he'll be sure to enjoy. As we're just going to quickly recap the finishing results on the grid now. As it is Roman Peschke leading the race, taking it home after that great pass and making up 2 seconds down the road. Carlos Riviera in P2 behind. Darren Garrett kept up P3 with Xavier Hubbolt beating out Florian Cremier by just the tiniest of margins for that P4. Eric Cheradame in P6 with Dries Winden Daily. I'm cursed with the names. They're never going to work out for me. I'll need a guide. I'll need them to send me a PDF beforehand of exactly how to get this right in P7. Anthony Knight beating out Risto Westman from behind, trying to make up as much as possible on the road after a tricky start. Martin Krajewski in 10th. We had about 17 cars race. Indeed, we did. Kevin Anfield took up 11th with Sasha Glasdell in 12th. Thomas Urban in 13th. With Kevin Smith in 14th. Daniel Klaber in 15th. Rounding out with Nathan Hoyle and James Turkington. Not quite making it to the end. I'm not quite sure James Turkington even hit the grid. A lovely, tight, exciting grid for a super sprint exciting race. I love these cars, and that's why this is a teammate I'm dragging into doing 3 hours of VIR later in the season, as much as he
That's not even 3. It's not even 3. It's 4.
Oh, beautiful. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love the splits I drag you into. I mean, once you learn just how weird this car gets under braking, you're gonna spend a lot of time learning, a lot of time experiencing it. Back in the day, it was the fastest car around VIR in production car. Now the BMW has beaten it by a long shot, but it was really fun gapping Mustangs on that track, let me tell you. Just before we go, shouting out that starting later this week is our mini stock league. Still an opportunity to sign up with cash prizes and a full broadcast on the whole show. We're so excited to bring this fantastic racing to you. And if you just want to watch along, it'll be on this channel. Subscribe. We've got plenty more races this week, far more than I even bargained for, and more over the future races as well, as we cover all sorts of great iRacing content throughout the season. I've been Howie Burroughs. It's been Anthony Cirino. And I'd like to thank you for tuning into today's show. Subscribe for more.